some very serious news that's, part of my broadcast consists of. Um, and most importantly, in sharing of this news, I want to continue to talk about, child trafficking. And I know there are a couple of videos, so the last several videos that I've actually posted, we talked about, the missing children and how interesting. This I'm going to say. How interesting is that when we talked about, if you remember, a couple of videos back, this representative Rick Santurian and how he made a big to do about how unimportant it was for children to become up missing. And not only a few weeks after that, we hear about this big situation down with these detention centers where these children were being separated from their parents. So if you go back and you look at that earlier video, what you'll notice is well, I talked about it, but you can go look at the actual video yourself. But I talked about how arrogant he was and how dismissive he was towards the panel that he was with in regards to their concern about, not only children being separated from their parents. So we knew about this some weeks ago, by the way. But the fact that these children were missing, they didn't know what happened to the children, and that was the part that really got the hairs on my head standing up. No hair up there, so y'all. That's forgive the pun. I guess that's the way I can say that. But anyway, the children that were missing and being separated from their parents, and now we have a situation most recently where it was found out that these kids were actually separated from their parents. Now, I don't want to get stuck right there because what I want to share with you today goes beyond the realm of that. But, in those videos, I talked about not only the 1,400 children come up missing of those children that were separated from their parents, which I suspect these children are caught up in child trafficking. But beyond that, the fact that over 2,000 children come up missing every day here in America, approximately 800,000 a year. And I talked about it before, and here's how I see this. You cannot tell me that this is important to you if you talk about it, once or twice and you move on. I read a quote from a guy recently. He said that most people have the attention span of a gnat on crack. Most people have the attention span of a gnat on crack. And I know what he's saying. That he's simply saying is that, we can't seem to sustain anything beyond just a couple of minutes and then we on to the next. I think that's somewhat socially engineered programming. I think we've already been programmed psychologically not to be able to concentrate, not to be able to focus. And a lot of it is due to, these little media toys, that we think make our life a lot more convenient. But in all actuality, it does a job of keeping us not only distracted, but it puts so much in our minds that we cannot even contemplate anymore. We can't even sustain thoughts anymore. At least most people can't. And you could be one of those individuals, I might add. So if you're not paying special attention to this, or how your mind is constantly switching and switching and switching, and you're forgetting things, or you can't sustain things, or can't follow through or follow up on anything beyond 24 hours, I mean, you should be able to sustain a thought for weeks. You should be able to sustain a thought or value, really, from a continual standpoint, indefinitely. And you should be able to do that. Every healthy-minded individual should be able to do that. And if you can't, it's probably because, unfortunately, you're probably dealing with some form of programming. And that includes me. I wish I could say I'm the exception to that rule, but I'm not. But I am conscious of it. I'm very conscious of it. And I try my best to retrain myself to not be so easily distracted. As a very, very good friend of mine said, chasing shiny things. Now, with that said, because I don't want to be distracted, but with that said, the point that I wanted to share this afternoon was the fact there's an article that I want to share with you guys, and this article was from 2015, And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Ninth Circle Secret Society. Now you might ask, well, what is the Ninth Circle Secret Society? Because I didn't know anything of this secret society. Well, the secret society, and you can find this article. The World Press, if the World Press released this article, if you Google up Ninth Circle Secret Society, you'll find this article that I'm going to read to you right now. But I'll give you a summary of the article. The article talks about the involvement of child trafficking and how long it's been going on around the world, and guess where else? Right here in the United States of America. It talks about, there's some facts here that, for example, it talks about 796 children, babies found in a non-septic tank in a Roman Catholic church. I think that was in Spain. And then it also talks about how the Catholic Church told the parents of 300,000 children that their children had died. And come to find out that these children had not died, but the Catholic Church was complicit in selling these children for a sum total of somewhere around $20 billion. Very, very complicit, in this child trafficking arena. It talks about a lot of the royals, exactly. But let me read something to you more importantly, because this is important. And what's interesting is you would think that this is something that was happening, I don't know, a while back. I was watching the news the other day, and I guess this individual who's very close to this cardinal, who is the advisor to Pope Francis, the current pope, was called to court, called to the corporate sort of legally for actions or things that have been reported about child abuse and pedophile. These boys these priests, popes, not popes, bishops, cardinals were having sex with in Argentina. And when they confronted him about it, what he said was that, quote unquote, this happened 40 years ago. And they asked him and said, well, why didn't you report that? Since you knew it was happening 40 years ago. You know what his response was? Back then, it was the norm. Yes, that's exactly what he said. Back then, that was the norm. Now, I'm older than 40 years old, and I don't remember any time that anybody had ever had the impression. I grew up in a Catholic family. Two of my mother's sisters were nuns. My grandparents were very, very active in the Catholic Church. I did the first communion and did all of that. As a matter of fact, and there was a time that because my immediate family was struggling so much that one of my mother's sisters, who happened to be a nun, wanted to put us in adoption, all the boys. And my mother pretty much told my auntie, who was a nun, that she wasn't having anything to do with that. She absolutely weren't putting her children in an orphanage. And I wonder what my mom knew. I suspect she knew a whole lot more than I understood at the time. I was just proud that she wouldn't, put her children away. But now, older and knowing more, I realized it could have been a little bit more to it than that. So, but let me get to my basic point here. And I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs from this article, okay? And again, you can find the very same article. And so I'm going to try to do this in 3 minutes. So yesterday, defenders of Pope Francis Bergoglio, Jesuit, Catholic Jesuit Superior General Adolfo Pichon, and Archbishop of Canterbury, Justice Welby, were found guilty of rape, torture, murder, and trafficking of children. 5 judges of the International Common Law of Justice in Brussels determined that the crimes occurred as recently as 2010. Since last March, over 48 eyewitnesses have come forward to testify before the ICLCJ court about the defendants' activities as members of the Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice Cult. The Ninth Circle Satanic Cult was said to do child sacrifices at Roman Catholic cathedrals in Montreal, New York, Rome, Scotland, London, Carnarvon Castle in Wales, and in undisclosed French chateaus in Holland, and at Canadian Catholic and Anglican Indian residential schools in Kamloops, British Columbia, in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. Canada. It goes on to say the Ninth Circuit Satanic Child Cult was believed to use privately owned forest groves in the U.S., Canada, France, and Holland for their human hunting parties. Human hunting parties. Yes, you heard me right. Human hunting parties. Including members of the European royal families, teens were said to be obtained by the mafia through stripped naked, raped, hunted down, and killed, the chief prosecutor stated. The Catholic Church is the world's largest corporation and appears to be in collusion with the mafia, governments, police. With the mafia, governments, police, and courts worldwide. Two adolescent women told the ICLCJ court that Pope Francis raped them while participating in child sacrifices. 8 other eyewitnesses confirmed their allegations of being witness to rape and child sacrifice. The Ninth Circuit Satanic Cult was said to take place during the springs of 2009 and 2010. I wonder why we didn't hear anything about that. That tells you who controls our media. Pope Francis was also found to be a perpetrator in the satanic child sacrifice rites while acting as the Argentine priest and bishop, according to sealed documents obtained from the Vatican archives. A second record dated December 25th, 1967, called Ministerial Privilege, was said to show that every new pope was required to participate in the Ninth Circle satanic cult ritual sacrifices of newborn children, including drinking their blood. The documents were presented to the ICLCJ court by a prominent Vatican official and a former Vatican Security employee. And I can go on and on. You need to read the article. BBC says that over 300,000 babies were stolen from their parents up to the 1990s. Mothers were told the babies died and were buried in mass graves. The Catholic Church was said to have made $20 billion on their adoptions. Other witnesses present during Pope Francis' meeting with the military junta during Argentina's 1970s dirty war, according to the witness, Pope Francis helped traffic 30,000 children of missing political prisoners into international child exploitation ring ran by the office at the Vatican. Now I'm going to stop there because I'm about to run out of time on this video. But guys, this is serious stuff. And I'll say this to you because, yes, it's wrong that those children were detained and separated from their parents, that we know about that just recently happened. But this is way bigger than that. And I suspect that was a distraction. I think that's to take everybody off the bigger picture of these missing children. And we need to be asking questions. We need to be having conversations about this. We need to be taking action about this. We need to be holding leaders, Congress people, etc., feet to the fire of what's going on. And I will tell you, as it relates to the Catholic Church, whatever that thing is, take it from a man who knows the scriptures. And I'm going to show you this. I spend time studying scripture, and as you can see, this wasn't supposed to be a part of my video, but I share this with you because I don't want you to think that you're talking to somebody who's the Antichrist or the word of Yahweh. No, I spend time studying, guys. And I'm telling you, whatever is going on with Catholicism, whatever is going on with anything under the umbrella of Catholicism, that's most of your religions, unfortunately. Do your own research. I know you think Martin Luther started the Protestant movement. No, he didn't. Martin Luther was a Catholic priest, I think is what he was. You follow me? So all these things are just levels, okay? They're just levels under the Catholic Church. That's why the Catholic Church calls itself the universal church. These religions and the stuff that they're pushing are absolutely anti-God. Go to the book of Revelations and you'll see about the great whore Babylon, the mystery Babylon, who deceives the whole world through her religious church, okay? But this child trafficking thing, guys, is extremely serious. We have got to get more involved, men and women. I'm going to challenge both of you guys. Who have you told about this video? Who have you told about the information that I have shared? And how are you disseminating this information? Or are you like the gnat on crack? Get it together, guys. More to come. But we got to stay on top of this. I know I am. Thank you for listening, guys. Appreciate you as always. Subscribe, like. Thank you. Share your comments. DFG, Gideon's Flight. Now you know, more to come.